Welcome to Small Town Dark Truths. I am your host, Alexis, and this is the third episode of the first season. I'm super excited. That means that we are only 5 episodes away from the debrief. Yes, we're gonna have 8. I'm just like showing my hands like crazy, okay? But we are gonna have 8 episodes in each season, and we're 5 away, and I'm so excited for this debrief. I'm excited to not finally have to like look at my script, because it will be unscripted, but I work really hard on my scripts, and I'm super proud of them. But it is hard when you have the memory of a goldfish to film yourself. Like, I'm just trying to memorize it, but it just goes blank. So you'll still see me, like, at first I was looking down, but I kind of switched up my setup. So I'm gonna kind of be like doing that. Just ignore it. I'm still working on memorizing, but I'm not good at it. But anyway, this season we are gonna be traveling to Winder, Georgia. And like I said before, every season is based on a different small town, and every episode is a different crime that happened in that small town. This episode, though, we are going to be kind of traveling a little bit to Florida, but we are still in Winder, Georgia, technically. But yeah, we're going to kind of have a little bit of a, but we'll talk about that later. Let's get on with the episode for today so we can talk about it. Before we dive in, I want everyone to picture a man with long hair, a beard, and an outfit that screams vintage thrift store chic. The kind of guy who stands out in a crowd not just because of his appearance, but also because of his presence. And that is Sean Dugas. He wasn't just a look, though. He was a journalist, a crime reporter, actually, kind of in a way like me, a little bit better than me probably, for the Pensacola News Journal. He had this unique blend of curiosity and compassion, and always digging into stories that others might shy away from, or maybe they were just too scared to talk about it. His colleagues remember him as fiercely independent, intelligent, and deeply passionate about his work. He loved his friends, his writing, and maybe more than anything, his Magic the Gathering collection, which he had been working on for years. Some people say that it was worth as much as a small house, about $100,000, which is crazy. But to Sean, it wasn't about the money, it was about the community and the game itself, and the people that he met through the hobby that became a part of his life, including 2 brothers named William and Christopher Cormier. I hope I'm saying their last name right, Cormier. I think that's right. It could be Cormier. I don't know. Well, I'm just gonna say Cormier because I think that's correct. But in August of 2012, Sean vanished. And what followed is a story that shakes 2 communities and reveals the darkest corners of human nature. August 27th of 2012, Sean had plans to meet his friend for lunch, and when she arrived at his home, he was nowhere to be found, and she thought maybe he was just out on a run, getting some groceries or, just doing something. But soon came no calls, no texts, no social media posts, just silence. And as hours turned into days and still no word from Sean, concern turned into worry. His friends tried reaching out, but nothing. Days passed and something just did not feel right. Sean was reliable and maybe a little bit private, but he would never just disappear. The front door was unlocked, and inside the place looked like it had been wiped clean. Furniture gone, walls bare, and even Sean's personal items like his computer, his collectibles, and his entire Magic the Gathering collection was gone, except, weirdly enough, one TV that was still plugged in. But what struck with them the most was the emptiness. The house did not look robbed or ransacked. It looked like someone had methodically removed everything that made it Sean's. And they did call the police immediately. When officers arrived, they confirmed what the friends had felt. This was not a normal move out. Sean hadn't told anyone that he was leaving, his bank accounts had gone quiet, and his phone was not active. Inside the house, police did notice something that time had not yet erased. Marks on the floor where furniture had been dragged, faint stains in the entryway, and the smell of cleaning chemicals, but again, there was no sign of Sean. That's the kind of moment that gets under your skin. A person's entire life gets stopped mid-sentence, and you walk into their home expecting answer, but it just feels like they've been erased. At this point, Sean's family and friends had feared the worst. The investigation opened up as a missing persons case on September 13th, and the police started reaching out to anyone who might have seen him last. And that's when the Cormier twins' name came up first. They had told people that Sean had decided to start fresh and maybe even move away, but those who knew him knew that he wouldn't have just moved up and away without telling anyone. No note, no goodbye, just gone. Because Sean was the kind of person who definitely would have told people he was leaving, at least his family and his close friends, not just the twins. And as investigators started connecting the dots, an empty home, missing cards, the brothers' sudden departure from Florida, which we'll talk about later, the truth started to unfold and take shape. No one knew it yet, but at the time that Sean was reported missing, he was already entirely gone. Pensacola Police Department treated this as a disappearance at first because there was no signs of a break-in or immediate evidence of violence, and there is no trace of where he might have gone, but detectives quickly realized that something just was not adding up. Sean's car was still in the driveway, and his phone was not pinging any cell towers, and his house, almost stripped entirely bare, started feeling more of a crime scene than a move-out. Investigators started piecing together Sean's last known days. Friends told them that he had recently started spending more time with the brothers William and Christopher Cormier, twins who had recently moved to Florida earlier in the year from Winder, Georgia. Sean had introduced them to the Magic the Gathering community, and soon they were hanging out almost daily. Detectives learned that the Cormier twins were among some of the last people to see Sean alive. When officers reached out to the twins, they told them that Sean had decided to, quote, move away, and that he sold him all of their belongings, including the valuable Magic the Gathering collection, before leaving town. That explanation sounded off, because Sean had not told his family, friends, or employers that he had any plans of moving. His bank accounts were also inactive, and his car, as we know, was still in his driveway. So how would he have moved away without literally anything that was his? As detectives dug deeper, they realized that both brothers had abruptly left Pensacola around the same time that Sean went missing. They loaded up a U-Haul truck back to Georgia, and they told their father that they were bringing furniture from a friend. Detectives in Pensacola issued a BOLO, which stands for Be on the Lookout, for both brothers and that U-Haul truck. Meanwhile, investigators traced cell phone data and credit card records, trying to map out the brothers' location and movements. What they found suggested that the truck traveled straight from Pensacola, Florida to Winder, Georgia, more than 300 miles away. Back in Winder, a quiet suburban neighborhood off of Auburn Road was about to become the center of this horrifying homicide investigation. On October 8th of 2012, after receiving a tip, Winder police started to search the Cormier's father's home. This was a home that he was renting out at the time. He didn't currently live there. They noticed something very odd, a freshly poured slab of concrete covering a large plastic container. When police officers pried it open, the smell was immediate and unmistakable. Inside, encased in concrete, they found a body. The autopsy and dental records confirmed what investigators were already expecting. The body did belong to Sean, and he had died from blunt force trauma to the head. Investigators also uncovered a chilling trail of evidence connecting the twins to Sean's death. Receipts for concrete and a plastic tub just days after Sean was last seen, traces of blood found in the U-Haul, and text messages showing the brothers' rushed return to Georgia. And one of the most important discoveries was actually a witness in Florida who had helped the twins load the moving truck, and he recalled that they said that the container was just full of heavy furniture. And that kind of detail, it really hits you, because knowing what was really inside that container is just and the fact that he helped moving without knowing it is just, it kind of gets deep into your soul. And I could not imagine that. I couldn't. The discovery was very chilling, but not just for the brutality of the crime, but the meticulous way that his body was concealed, and that this was supposedly his friend's. As I said before, the autopsy revealed that the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head, and we figure out that he was struck multiple times with a hammer. His body was placed in fetal position inside the container, wrapped in sheets and tarps and air fresheners and spray foam, just trying to conceal what happened. And also concrete was poured over it. Oh my gosh. Now this is where the case turns from tragedy to something so twisted that it is hard to believe. Because the reason behind Sean's death was not an act of random violence or maybe jealousy. It was driven by greed, plain and simple. Investigators uncovered that Sean had amassed this remarkable collection of trading cards, and not just any cards, high-valued Magic the Gathering cards, valued somewhere between $25,000 to $100,000. These cards featured artwork, limited editions, and carried serious money in the collector's world. Here is where the connection drew in the two men that would become his killers, William and Christopher Cormier. Twin brothers who had become friends with Sean through Magic the Gathering. They came to his house, they played games with him, they shared the community with him, and they were close enough to Sean for him to trust them. But prosecutors say that William took that trust and turned it into an opportunity. He was described as desperate for money. According to court testimony, after Sean vanished, William sold thousands of dollars worth of cards from Sean's collection. The evidence shows that he used those proceedings to buy the plastic storage container, the spray foam, the concrete, and everything that went into burying Sean's body. In one moment in court, prosecutor Bridget Jensen said it plainly, quote, "He sold Sean's own cards to buy that cheap plastic coffin to put his body in." So when we ask why they did this, it comes down to a horrifying calculus of value and desperation. The cards weren't basically just items to these men, they were cold, hard cash. Access to quick money and the way out of debt or failure. Sean's friendship and trust were just the entry point, which is, I don't know, it's just heartbreaking. And there's more. The dynamic between the twins played a huge role in the case. Witness testified that William was the dominant twin, and that Christopher might have been influenced or manipulated. In his trial, William tried to shift blame onto his brother, saying that he thought Sean was just moving and that Christopher told him what to do, but the jury did not buy it. It's a tale of betrayal, trust broken, and greed that turned lethal. A young man's life was ended not because of some high-stakes corporate crime or drug dealer cartel, but because two of his friends saw collecting cards as a path to fortune and decided that eliminating the owner was part of the plan. And that, the cold-blooded decision to kill for cards, is what makes this story so haunting. Because in the small town world that we deal with, where friendship matters, the idea that your friends could be watching the value of your possessions more than the value of your own life is deeply unsettling, and a crime fueled with greed and obsession. William and Christopher Cormier, identical twins with a bond that seemed unbreakable, but this case would test their bond more than anything in their whole entire life, and in a very horrific way. And from what I can tell, I don't think the bond lasted, because William Cormier. Alright, now we move into the courtroom, and this is where the consequences finally catch up. After the body of Sean Dugas was found in October of 2012, the legal system took over. William Cormier III was charged with first-degree murder for beating Sean Dugas to death with a hammer and then concealing his body in a plastic container covered in concrete in his father's backyard in Winder, Georgia. Christopher Cormier pled guilty to helping his brother move the body and conceal the crime, specifically an accessory after the fact, and other charges related to moving and hiding the body. In February of 2014, the verdicts were handed down. William was convicted of first-degree murder and charged with life in prison without parole, and Christopher received a sentence of 15 years for his role in the crime. And here is where the timeline gets interesting and unexpected. Christopher, having been sold a portion of his sentence, was released in August of 2025. He served, I think, 10 years of his 15-year charge. And let's pause and think about that for a second. One brother who is in prison for life, and the other, who helped move the body and who admitted to being involved, is now free, and the victim's family is living with that aftermath. The courtroom testimonies were brutal. Prosecutors laid out how William bought the spray foam, the container, and the concrete, all the materials used to conceal Sean's murder, and they connected the funding for those purchases to the sale of Sean's valuable card collection. Christopher's role was laid out differently. He maintained that he did not kill Sean and that he actually thought that he was still alive when he helped his brother move his remains, and that he trusted his brother. But the jury and the judge did not let that shift his responsibility. After the sentencing hearing, Sean's mother wept to the judge, stating, quote, "My only son, I despise the fact that his supposed friends could hurt him like this." And so the consequences were set. One brother was facing life in prison and the other serving over a decade, then let out in 2025. The victim, Sean Dugas, was gone, and the card collection, the friendship, the trust was all shattered. Sean's death left a void in the Pensacola community. He was more than just a journalist. He was a friend, a son, a unique individual whose loss was deeply felt by all who knew him. In the years following his death, his colleagues at the Pensacola News-Journal remembered him not just for his work, but for his spirit. He was the kind of person who made you see the world for the beauty and the truth, the one that reminded you that even in the darkest stories, there is truth and beauty to be found. His legacy lives on, not just in the stories that he told, but in the way that he lived his life, the passion, the integrity, and the commitment to uncovering the truth. You know, the Sean Dugas story definitely sticks with me because it's one of those stories that make you stop and think about how fragile trust really is. And I think in so many of these stories, even in my last episode, it kind of shakes you to the core a little bit, because it makes you wonder who you can trust and just, you know, keep your guard up a little bit more. And it's not something that you want to do because you want to be able to trust the people around you. But Sean opened up his home to people that he thought was his friend and family even, and that trust was twisted into something unrecognizable. And it breaks my heart, because everyone wants to have their full trust in their friends. Everyone wants to have good friends, and everyone wants to trust their family. But when you hear stories like this, it just shakes you to the core a little bit, and it makes you think. And I don't think we should be living in a world like that. But sadly, there are stories like this, stories like the last episode, and stories like more episodes I'm going to be telling that that trust just was one-sided, and honestly makes you question if it was ever even supposed to be there, because it wasn't supposed to be there, but it was. And I think that's what makes this case so dark, because it wasn't a random act of violence, it was betrayal in its purest form. And I can't help but wonder if Sean ever saw a flicker of what was to come. Would he have done anything differently? And would any of us, if we maybe saw a flicker, or would we try to believe in the best in the people around us? And cases like this remind me of why I do tell these stories, because they're not just shocking or sensational, but because behind every headline is a real life, is real people, and a lesson about how quickly trust can turn into tragedy. Sean Dugas deserved so much more than this ending. And maybe by keeping his story alive, by saying his name, we can make sure his kindness and his passion wasn't lost in the horror of what happened to him. And so what do you think? Do you think that this was just about greed, or was there something even darker between these so-called friends? Let me know your thoughts. And if you have any information about an unsolved crime or case in Barrow County, please contact the Barrow County Sheriff's Department, because everything counts. Your word matters. We don't want to leave any case unsolved. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Small Town Dark Truths. I am your host, Alexis. Let's keep probing, let's keep questioning, because dark truths often hide where we least expect them. But wait. Don't go anywhere, because I have a very, very special episode for you next week. We are going to be taking a break from the true crime, the murder, and all this stuff, and we're going to be talking about the folklore of Winder, Georgia. And Winder has a very, very, very interesting folklore called the Wog. It's a beast that's kind of like a werewolf bear kind of thing that watches over the entrance to hell that is called Nodarok. So yes, we are going to be digging into that. I am super duper excited about talking about this weird little beast that was in my hometown. But I will see you next week. Y'all stay safe. Bye!